We love you, but we will miss you, but stay home. Like, if you are sick, please don't come. And if your parents say, it's fine, just go to school anyways, tell them it's not. It is not. Like, if you're not sick, they're going to make you come to school. But if you are sick, please don't come to school and spread it around. Because we're missing all our friends that aren't here. All right, so for those of us who are sick, playing along at home, reminder, quiz on Friday. If you're still sick on Friday, it'll be posted, and you can work on it if you want to. If you've kept up with your practice, and honestly, guys, that quiz only covers up to today. So, like, today's practice is the last practice that would be needed to do well on that quiz. So as long as you get today's practice taken care of before Friday, you should be fine on the quiz. I will not be here tomorrow. My dentist has apparently gotten really popular, and when I called to get a cleaning, it didn't work with my school schedule, so I said, oh, I'll call back. Then I called back last week, and they were booked until October. And I was like, well, that sucks. I really need to go. So they called me, and they told me they had an appointment open. I was like, sweet, I'm just going to take the day and go to the dentist and then get it in at the dermatologist. So nothing's wrong, right? It's just the adult check type stuff. Mr. Manning, you guys already know Mr. Manning. He'll be your sub tomorrow. Please be cool for him. You guys are going to be doing a Desmos. So either I'm going to leave him my computer to be on securely or have another teacher checking it on securely, like probably Miss Hassanin or somebody who's maybe not teaching, so they can just have it up on their computer and keeping tabs. Guys, we don't want to have to start blocking things because then that gets annoying of like, if you're mastered and allowed to choose your own music and you want to go to YouTube to be able to choose your own music, but we have YouTube blocked for everyone because they keep trying to sneak onto it, like we don't want to do that. We will because it's the easier way to keep you doing what you're supposed to. But the better alternative is we just all prove that we can do what we're supposed to do and then do what you want to do. Right? So can we just be cool for Mr. Manning, please? Thank you. Appreciate it. All right, so why are we doing this, right? I love this question because I teach math and I think I can always answer why we are doing this. So, like, guys, equations, whether you realize it or not, equations are, like, our brains are set up to think about equations. When you think about a situation, even when, like, you're walking home, your brain is probably thinking, okay, I know how far it is to get home, I know how quickly I walk, it's probably going to take me this much time. That's an equation that you just solved, right? Or, like, you're looking at a Khan Academy assignment, or multiple Khan Academy assignments. How long is it going to take me to catch up, right? Like, that's an equation that we solve. I can give you like a million examples, but then we would be here forever because if each example took like 30 seconds and I gave you a million examples, how many seconds would that take? Well, 30 million seconds, or I guess we could say 500,000 minutes, right? If we wanted to say, hey, look, another equation that we just solved. So let's think about this. A lot of you guys went to daycare. Daycare costs a lot of money. A lot more than what this problem says, because if you go home and ask your parents what does childcare cost, it's going to be more than $3, right? But using that pencil and graph paper that you definitely have since slide 1 told you to get pencil and graph paper. I'll wait. Hey, Lila, you can wake up. Pencil and graph paper. Who what? Okay. Since we all definitely got our pencil and graph paper already, I want you and your partner to work on setting up an equation for this situation with the unknown being like, well, how late was he, right? If you read the situation, that should pop out as the thing we don't know. Like, how late was Alvin picking up their kid? And then we're going to solve for it, right? So go ahead and try to build an equation to match this situation. And then we're going to solve it. You have partners, so please don't stick up a hand and ask me for help if you haven't asked your partner for their help. You're welcome to move if you want to return around and talk to them, or if you want to work alone, I don't care. I like partner work because it gives us some confidence of like, well, if we both say the same thing, at least if we're wrong together. I mean, if it's a base, you always have to take a base. I mean, assumably it's a day, right? Like, or whatever, you drop your kid off, you gotta pay $3. Then they also charge you the late fee. Yeah, you gotta pay the $3. That's our base fee. Like it's there no matter what. And then I feel like the additional fee, right, as opposed to base fee. Hugs and hearts. That's such a cute name. And then solve it, right? Once you get your equation set up, that 50 cents only gets charged once.
Wait, why are we subtracting though? Because I'm trying to figure out. What are we trying to figure out? We like, oh, so is that our answer?
I should have changed this to like match what a real place would charge. Kids are expensive. Childcare is expensive. Yeah. But then they'll charge you for the week, and even if you don't bring your kid on Wednesday, like you still pay for the week, right? It's one of those things.
My mom had to pay -3 divided by.
It's expensive to have kids. I mean, you also have to feed them and clothe them and all the other stuff too. Alright, I don't think we've done a good shuffle in a while. We might as well change up this order.
Are we trying to find like
How late he was. I don't know. How late they were for pickup.
Oh, it's probably a boy.
How late they were for pickup.
10 -3 divided by.
So Albin is the parent name, by the way, because the parent had to pay for the kid. The parent was late. Like the kid can't just leave, right? Like when you're in daycare, you can't just be like, "Have a great day," and walk yourself home. Like your parent has to pick you up. It's like a legal thing. Kyrie, glad to have you back today. By the way, can you help me build this equation?
So you do 50 cents times the unknown
Okay.
plus 3.
I'm going to start with that 3 just because they said it first. You're absolutely right. I'm just writing the 3 first. Now, I know why you wrote it second, but I also want to show that it doesn't make a difference in how we set this up. You're correct. I'm just writing this for a certain reason. Okay, so you said, what variable did you pick?
X.
X? Sure. Because that's like the common variable. Yeah. And then what else? So now we've got an expression. How do we turn this into an equation?
Equal sign.
Ooh, the equal sign turns it into an equation. What's it equal? 1050. Now, as Eva told us yesterday when we start our solving process, it's really SADMEP, not, it's SADMEP. I think there needs to be a second E if we're going to say it MEP.
Well, it doesn't matter, okay? That's how you pronounce the name.
English is weird.
It's named
So, as we start solving this, Jeremiah, can you tell me what we would do on both sides first? Can you tell me, if we're going to start solving for X, we would like to get to the point of being able to say X, like how late he was. What are we going to do on both sides to work towards getting X by itself? Minus that base fee of 3. And guys, anyone know Shama in 8th grade? Okay, so Shama was in my advisor group last year. So like obviously you get a little bit better relationship with your advisor quicker. Kira might be making faces back there because maybe she disagrees with that. But she had this whole thing last year where do you know what I'm going to say?
Yes, because we heard it in ELA.
Okay, what's the thing?
Shield both sides of you on the equation.
So every time we were working on solving an equation, I would say, where are we doing this to? And she got annoyed. I don't know why, but hey, I don't know why my wife gets annoyed either. She would get annoyed at me saying on both sides because she's like, oh, we only have to actually do it over here. But I am telling you, as the equations get tougher and tougher and tougher, if you don't in your head at least think about, we're doing this on both sides. And if you don't on your paper write it, you're gonna end up falling in a trap door eventually. So when you say we're gonna subtract 3, it's on both sides, but we only do the math here because what happens here? It just becomes 0. Like we know that, right? So like this wipes each other out, but we need to do the math on the other side because we need to do it on both sides. And 1050 minus 3? 750. So now, Chase, what are we going to do to get x by itself?
We're gonna divide by 0.50
Where?
on both sides.
On both sides. Or, like we talked about yesterday, alternatively, what could you do to get this to 1x? Multiply by 2. So you could divide by 0.5, or you could multiply by 2 on both sides. And what do we get? 750 times 2?
That would be 15.
15. Now here's the weird thing. Well, not weird thing. The thing about as we're solving equations, 15 what? Dogs, cats, pizzas, homework assignments. What were we solving for here? Anybody?
15 hours.
Hours? You really don't like your child if you left them 15 hours at the daycare.
Honestly,
Guys, I don't trust Chase as a dad.
honestly, my mom would probably say the same.
I'm gonna send this video to your mom, see what she thinks about that.
I drive my mom.
Alright, 3 situations, equations built for you. You don't have to write these down, but you do need to work with your partner to decide on like what goes where. So I guess I should probably like give you a way to tell me what goes where. Let's say this one's A, this one's B, and this one's C. Let's say that. So, like the first one over here, right? Like situation 1, would it use A, B, or C equation? Situation 2, would it use A, B, or C? Situation 3, would it do A, B, or C? So chat with each other. Take a little bit of time to make sure you understand it. Write it down if you want to. Make sure that you turn around every now and then, which you've been doing a good job at, but it makes me feel weird to have a kid with their back to me. So like, I'd prefer it if you sat over there so you could kind of look sideways. It just also makes me feel like someone's mad at me. Like when you like turn your back towards someone, it's making me feel self-conscious.
Like, I don't know how, like, I'm not gonna, like, I don't know write down the entire problem.
If we could, I know the ground is gross, but I can't really see you guys very well with this pile of facts. Is there any chance we can relocate them? I'm not saying it has to be ground. We've got chairs back there we can set them on. Like, you can hang it off the back of your chair, Carter. But, like, it just makes me feel weird, that, especially when you're sitting low. I can't see you at all back here. You guys know I'm going to use random cards to get help on this. Now, if you want to challenge yourself, don't look at the ABC equations up there. Try to make your own. If you actually want to challenge yourself more, don't just match them. Make your own. I swear, these pencils are like growing out of the carpet. They just appear out of nowhere. Pencils. Yesterday at the end of the day, I picked up 5 pencils in my room. I have picked up my room once versus what happens multiple times? What happens only once versus multiple times? What total do we end up with? Oh no. Snooze. That will totally restart my computer if I click OK. We doing okay if I give you one more minute? One more minute? Okay. If you're done, you could also be thinking about an equation situation that you could make up. Because that's going to be like the last thing we do today is try to make up our own equation situations. Your what? Like your own story problem. Yeah, like I've got an example of like what I did last night turned into an equation problem to like help you guys think about it.
People like say random like equations, like, oh, I wonder how many blah blah blah, I just blah blah blah, and I'm solve it in my head. Like why? I know. I was like looking at the window and I feel like zoning out and just solving something.
You can. Yeah. I was gonna have you guys email if you like get to a point where you really like it, and have you guys email them so I could like copy paste it and put it in the test if I wanted to. But we're just gonna practice like with our partners, right? But then like if you want me to potentially use it for a test. Harrison, can you help me out with one of these situations? One, Harrison says, is B. Kate buys 10 tickets to a show. She also pays a $5 parking fee. That's pretty cheap parking these days. And she spends $35 to see the show. So what happens once? The parking. Right? Parking only happened once because Kate's a great friend. She bought tickets for all her friends. And that's the thing that happened multiple times, right? Now, what don't we know here? Like, what would the x, if we solve for x, what would it be solving for? Jack?
How much the tickets cost?
Yeah, the price of each ticket. Can anyone quickly reason through this and tell me what these tickets cost here? Higher?
It costs $3, but I don't know what she's buying them for because there is no way that tickets cost $3 to anyone.
I mean, it might be like a show at the library or something where the tickets are really just to raise money for something small. Like, we'll sell tickets to things here, like canteens, where it's like $5. And, like, sometimes we've spent more than that on, like, food and everything else, but we just want to get some of the money back. So you're right. Like, this is not, like, Taylor Swift, right? Like, you're paying hundreds of dollars to go see her probably. This, it's probably something community type. Like, what would a ticket to your show cost? Like $10 maybe?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, like nothing crazy. Like community shows are normally not as expensive. Harrison, nice work, man. Rowan, what about 2 or 3? Up to you what you want to pick. I guess I'll scroll this back up to make sure that we can see. 2? 2 is A. What happened once there? Yeah, the 10 pens that he kept for himself. What happened multiple times? Yeah, and what is it that we don't actually know? Yeah, the number of pens each friend actually got. And if we quickly think through solving this, get rid of that 10, then divide by that 5. How many pens did he give each friend? Yeah, if we subtract 10 on both sides, and then divide by 5, we'd have 5, right? Because we would have gotten to 25 and then down to 5. We had some really good friends here. Friends buying tickets for each other, friends giving each other pens. I don't know if, like, pens are, like, a thing anymore these days, but, like, sparkly pens or, like, whatever used to be, like, a thing because, we didn't have the internet. Oh, I'm just getting older and older. It's fine. Kira, real tough. What matches 3? C, because what happened once? Yeah, the 5 hours on science, right? What happens multiple times? Ah, math. Come on, math. So, what's the x going to be solving for here then? Yeah, how much time in like, yeah, in portions of hours. So like x, well, let's solve it. Let's just try this. On your paper, write down 35x plus 5 equals 10. Because this one's kind of funky. This one's different than what we've been doing. I mean, a little bit different. I should see pencils in hands since I just asked us to write something down. 35x plus 5 equals 10. What would we do first here, Will? What would you do to both sides first?
I would subtract 5.
You would subtract 5 because that's correct. And we get 35x equals 5. This feels different than what we've been doing because we normally have the bigger number not attached to the variable. What would we do, Aaron, on both sides here? Divide by 35 because we're trying to get rid of that coefficient. And 5 over 35, can anyone think of what that is reduced? Sorry, sometimes my x's connect and they kind of look like a fish. 1/7. The x, if we divide by 5, we would get to 1/7. So 1/7 of an hour. What is approximately 1/7 of an hour? Well, half is 30 minutes, right? A fourth, what's a fourth? Like 15 minutes, right? So a seventh, I mean, or we could do a seventh times 60, I guess.
That would be 50 minutes? Because 1/6 of an hour would be an hour, right?
Well, 1/6 of an hour would be 10 minutes, right?
Yes. So then you gotta do 1.
Is 1/7 less or more? Which is more? 1/6 or 1/7? 1/6 is more, right? So 1/7 will be less than 10 minutes. Now still, 10 minutes on a homework problem? Those are probably some difficult homework problems, right? And 5 hours on science. I don't know if you guys have spent 5 hours on science yet this year. All right, questions? Questions? Well, that might be a confession of like something you could set a growth goal. Yeah, because I'm old. I'm not deaf. I can hear what you guys are whispering to each other. Try this. Our goal is to be able to write it on your own. So in Khan, you're going to see like which equation. But our goal is not to just do multiple choice. Our goal is to be able to write equations on our own. So we're not choosing which equation. We're saying, let's set this up. But I do want to say x is what we're using for our number of days that it will take Keenan to reach his goal. So we're using x. Right, so we're all going to use the same variable x. Go ahead and chat with your partner. How do we write this as an equation? And then go ahead and solve it. Once we get it written, once we're confident that our equation is correct, go ahead and solve it. I don't even know if I could do 30 push-ups. Great conversations happening here. Act like we're talking. Right? Laugh. Act like I said something funny. Ha 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 ha. It wasn't that funny. Jeez. How do you make an octopus laugh? That wasn't the punchline. 10 tickles.
How many tickles make salty?
No, but that's too easy. That's like lobbing up the softball. Gotta ask it open-ended. Carter, how we doing? You ready? Yeah, you're finally here to not just be talked to in the videos. All right, Carter, help me out. What's our equation here? 8 plus 2x equals 30. And no, you do not have to put the multiplication symbol, but I think some of us like it better when we put the multiplication symbol. That's up to you. You could also write it like this, because any number up against parentheses is multiplying. All of these are correct ways to write these things. All right, so then, Jack, what are we going to do first to work towards solving for x?
Minus 8.
And where from?
8 on both sides.
So then we get 2x equal to, make sure you actually do the subtraction, 22. And I bet we don't even need to write it down. What's x? 11, right? So it'll take Keenan 11 days to reach that goal. And that's sort of like a Mr. Smith thing, where if you want to make your own fitness plan, if you want to like set your own goals, I think we have an 8th grader working to get his 5K time as low as possible because he's working on running. So here's another one like you would see in con, but I kind of want to skip over this for now to give you guys more time to work on situations like this. So true story. Where like equations are involved in life, and this is like as approximate to accurate as possible. I did not actually keep count, but so here's like where equations might be in your head. So we're working to empty out the pool that my wife convinced me to buy this summer. I'm still not convinced it was the best decision, but hey, it was fun, right? We got to use it a little bit. We didn't go on vacation, so we decided to buy a little above ground pool. So annoyingly, this is all true. The drain plug that is on the side of the pool is like an inch up from the edge. They don't like have a pool and know the annoyance of pools. Sound great. They're annoying to take care of. So I have like this much water left in the pool, not a small pool. So I gotta start emptying it out with buckets. The buckets are 5 gallons each, like just a regular round bucket. There's approximately 450 gallons of water left in the pool. How many buckets am I going to have to bear to empty the pool? And then, if each bucket takes me 30 seconds, how much time did I spend last night doing this? Go try to solve this. Is like a 2-layer problem, right? You got to solve one layer to be able to solve the next layer. You already solved it. Great, talk to each other. I'm going to give people more time. I know this one's not that difficult. This is like a 1-step, right?
That's a lot of seconds.
You could switch to minutes if you want. That's up to you.
Well, I mean, I'm not right now. What's 27 divided by 4? I need a calculator.
Has anyone told you guys about Phoenix Fair yet? And if you've had siblings come through Phoenix, or if you just saw that it was happening last year and your parents are like, let's go. So Phoenix Fair is a great example of when equations matter in real life. So students will make things for Phoenix Fair and sell like stuff for kids, stuff for adults, food, whatever. So like, let's imagine that Will decides for Phoenix Fair, he's going to make Buckeye necklaces, right? And he figures out how long it takes him to make one Buckeye necklace. He can then use that to figure out how many necklaces he'd be able to make before Phoenix Fair, and then use that to figure out how much money he might be able to make, and it's all equations. right? Life is really just a whole lot of equations. Unless they're not equal, and then we get into inequalities, which is what we're going to start talking about tomorrow. And some of you have already seen from doing the homework that's assigned, but really is tomorrow's homework. What? Arnya, help me out here. Can you help me set up the first equation we need here?
X5 is equal to 450.
So Arnya is saying 5x equal to 450. So what's the x going to represent here then?
90.
The number of buckets, right? But then you got 90. So what'd you do on both sides to get there? How do we get rid of the 5 times?
Divide it by 5.
We can divide by 5, and you said x came out to be what?
90.
Yeah, and no joke, my back hurts, my neck hurts, my arms hurt, like, because it's 4 feet tall, right? It's like, true story, I was using a smaller bucket to fill the bigger bucket, lift the bigger bucket, dump it. About 30 seconds, probably. And yes, I was last night doing this work, thinking, I could make this into a math problem. And well, I did. So then, Vivian, help me out with what we could do next with this whole, like, 90 buckets that we just figured out.
You could do 90 times 30.
Okay, so now that we know it's about 30 seconds each, or if we want to switch to minutes, what's 30 seconds if we switch to minutes? It's half a minute, right? So if we do 90 times 30 seconds, or half a minute, so what's that come out to be? And that would be no breaks and working exactly the same speed the whole time. Do you honestly think I took no breaks, and do you honestly think I was able to work so no, right? Like, this is an approximation. If I was able to work the same speed, not take breaks, there's my answer. But this is where in life you think realistically it's going to take me that long or more, right? Getting eaten by mosquitoes the whole time. So here's my challenge to you. We have like 7 minutes left. I want you and your partner to try to think up an equation situation. You could each think one up. You could work together to make one up. But if you like it enough that you would like it to potentially end up on our mastery, because we're not just going to do Khan Academy masteries. Like, I like paper mastery so I can write things back to you and everything. You can then email it to me. So in the next 7 minutes, you can, like, and honestly, if you might only take like a minute to do this, and then you can spend like 5 minutes working on Khan Academy. I don't care. But if you like the situation you made up, you need to also have its solution, right? So you can't just make up a situation that might be like crazy hard, difficult to solve. You also have to solve it. And then if you really like it and you want it to potentially be on a test, email it to me. Questions. So you have now 6 minutes to do that. / once you think up an equation situation, you can work on Khan Academy. I really just care that this makes sense to you, that you could relate your life to an equation. Timing actually worked out pretty well, aside from the rabbit question that we didn't get to. Timing actually worked out okay today. In a couple minutes, we'll let people share theirs out loud, right? In a couple minutes, we'll just let you share it out loud.
Okay, let's just pick the name.
If you need a name, just pick a random name. If you want it to not be a student at Phoenix, I don't think we have any Chelsea's. Chelsea's my wife's name, but you could use that if you want. so how could we make an equation related to a rate? So let's say you're prepping to do performance. Let's say you're prepping to like take a risk. Would you only practice your song one time, or would you practice your song multiple times? So mixing together some of the story that goes along with it. So you have a story that goes along with it. Like, is what you did correct, like your work? Like, I'm happy to check that, but I was trying to let you guys be a little creative.
We could do like how like follow.
So I'm a little confused because I think you changed your numbers and changed the other ones. It looks like you had 21 because then you did 21 minus 3. But you actually you changed it to negative 61. So I think you need to check your own. You need to look at that with your own critical eyes. All right, we only have a couple minutes, so we'll see if anyone wants to share. Nolan, would you like to share what you made up? Eva, you want to share what you made up? Okay, should we talk about the made up equations like maybe Friday or something? Okay, so here's the deal. I'm gonna release you early for lunch, but not Jack because he always wants to make sure I wait the whole time. So tomorrow, I'm not here, Mr. Manning is. You will be doing Desmos. Hey, I want you to kind of listen in this moment. So I'm gonna post multiple Desmoses. The one that matters, the one that I need you to do, is I saw the sign. And it's about amusement park rides and what rides you can go on and can't go on because those are inequalities. So that is the thing you need to do. Beyond that, once you get I saw the sign done, you can either work on con or there will be other Desmoses, but please make sure you do I saw the sign first because that's the one dealing with inequalities. If Mr. Manning is not on securely, a different teacher probably will be. Please just be cool for him. I know I said all this at the beginning of class, but it's worth saying again. We like Mr. Manning. We like that he likes us and wants to come back and sub for us because we don't have enough subs. So please keep him liking us to come and sub until he leaves for Europe. Awesome. Have a great day. Thanks, guys.
Did you know in some I forget what in some places language were blocked.